So this is pretty much my first pop-up last live session. I mean, I had one probably a month ago, maybe a little over, but that was pretty much scheduled. But this time I was sitting there thinking about self-care. And sometime when we get caught up in the workplace because the tempo is so fast or we're a little under stress or pressure, we tend to neglect ourselves. We don't worry about ourselves. We put, the tasks in front of our mental state. We put everything first, and then we have to go home and deal with the stuff there without realizing that we are slowly breaking down without even realizing it. So right before our very eyes. So sometimes you just have to stop, take a moment and focus on self. You also have to find that balance between work and home life. And sometimes one may outweigh the other at times, and that's perfectly normal, but you have to stabilize your emotions. Because you can go through things at work and, if you start to notice that your temper's getting short or more and more things start to frustrate you and things of that nature, you have to be aware of that. But also from a supervisory standpoint, you have to pay attention for your team members and if their attitude changes like that. Because if it does, it's a good chance they're probably experiencing things that they're probably not talking to you about. So all that stuff is pretty much helpful. So one, from a supervisor / leadership position, you have to pay attention to your team members. Everyone who falls within your care, under your care, you have to pay attention to them. And this is why it's important for you to get to know those, members of your team. It's very important because you learn mannerisms. You learn, what makes them tick. You learn what makes them happy and put them in a good mood. You also learn what puts them in a bad mood. So you learn that balance from each individual team member. So when something is actually not right or different, then you might want to pay attention to it. So let's say, for instance, you go into a meeting and you have one person who constantly, very enthusiastic and sort of like the life of the meeting or what have you. But then one day they come in, they're the complete opposite. They're quiet, very reserved, not really saying much. And then the meeting's over. So what do? Do you just let it go by the wayside? Or do you go find that individual and, try to have a one-on-one to see if anything there is that you can do to help them? Yeah, you might want to go find them and see what's wrong, because sometimes people don't like to admit if there's something wrong with them or if they're having some sort of emotional setback or they're stressed out about something. Also, if you notice their work performance start to decline, you want to pay attention to that too. If you know for a fact you have a person who is always a top-notch high performer, you know this, but for some reason, all of a sudden, their work starts to decline. They start to miss deadlines and things of that nature. Reach out to them, because there are more than likely some underlying issues that you're probably not aware of. Now, from your standpoint, it is you have to find that balance, because sometimes organizations are not going to care about your mental health. They're not. So you have to put your mental health first. You have to know when you are crossing into the red zone and when you're going far beyond what you're capable of. You have to know that. You have to know when you need to pull back. You have to know when you're working so hard and you're so consumed with your day-to-day work that when you're home, you're frustrated. You're snapping at, those who are in the house, whether it's a significant other, whether it's children, whether it's pets. You notice your attitude towards them is different. So you have to pay attention to that. And it's not them. They're doing what they always do. It's you. You are the one who needs to change. You are the one who needs to adjust. You are the one who needs to step back and take a break and take a breather. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done and you're done working, who's going to be there for you? Those in your home. So you have to make sure they're taken care of as well. And how do you do that? Is take care of yourself. Do not let the work get the best of you. Do not. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to your patterns. If you notice your patterns start to change, well, then you need to stop and do something differently. If you notice your attitude is different, you're not as enthusiastic or as energetic as what you normally are, pay attention, because there are signs. There are signs. Manage your stress. It is okay to have an outlet. Find what your outlet is. If it's, working out, if it's, going to the beach, if it's, interacting with family, find your outlet and consume that outlet so you can go ahead and decompress. Sometime when you're feeling that way, do not take work home, because again, it can get the best of you. You have to know your limits. No one is going to tell you what your limits are. It's okay to push your limits, but again, know when you get in that red zone. Because once you get in that red zone, you need to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to go back to your safety zone, or are you going to keep going forward and explode? You don't want to do that. So please take care of yourself. If you notice that your organization is that toxic where it's filtering over in a home, you probably need a new organization. If you notice, your leadership is the same way, you probably need a new organization. Or if it's not that easy to move, see if you can request and go to a different section within that organization, one that's more, calmer, or, have better leadership over there, or something that can manage, or someone who can help you manage your emotions. So just pay attention to that. And so what I do, one of the things I do on my calendar, so when I have my team meeting, I make my team pick one day a month. I call it a mental health day, but on my calendar, it's considered a health day. To take that whole day off completely and do whatever their heart desires, because it breaks up the monotony, because sometimes your workflow is going so fast that it's hard to slow down. So I make them put it on my calendar when they're going to take their health day. And they all get one once a month. And then also sometimes I put on their calendar sort of a self-time. So it may be an hour every other week or something like that for them to, in the middle of the workday, but I check all their schedules. So I mirror up all the calendar schedules to make sure that they don't really have nothing going on. And that is their moment to decompress. That is their moment to, you know what, I need to go run some errands because I have this 60 or 90-minute time window to myself. But you have to you have to find ways to help them manage their stress. And that is your job as a leader. That is your job as a supervisor, what have you. So take care of your people, and I promise you your people will take care of you. But again, this is just my pop in for the morning, or wherever you located. Thank you for coming from various locations. Again, this is so last minute, but this is something that I wanted to do because it was on my mind this morning for me. So thank you all stopping in. And some of you said you needed it. That's good. And yes, Stephen, you do need to take that moment to unplug, because if you don't unplug, that can have catastrophic results. So take that moment for yourself. And it also will not only help you, but it'll help your loved ones as well. But thank you again for coming in. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And for those who are just ending their day, I hope your evening goes well. Mine is just starting. It's 9:15 in the morning on the East Coast, United States. So again, thank you so much. You all have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming in.